Ever notice how some people age like time barely touches them? It's almost strange, right? I kept seeing patterns and eventually it clicked. Longevity isn't one heroic habit, it's a mix of simple levers you pull every day. So here's my take. Movement first. Not fancy workouts, just staying active in a way your body can actually enjoy. Then comes food. Research suggests that eating a bit cleaner and not going overboard already shifts metabolism in a better direction. Sleep? Huge. Every time I mess with it, my brain reminds me who's in charge. And yeah, there's the smart use of supplements or nutrition protocols. Nothing extreme, just things that might support the system when it needs a nudge. But the last lever surprises people. Emotional health. Community, connection, feeling grounded. Without it, the other stuff feels hollow. These 5 shape the way we age. Pull them gently, but consistently. You ever notice how fear shows up the moment your back tweaks or your knee clicks? Suddenly, movement feels dangerous. But here's the weird part. Research suggests most of us are way less fragile than we think. Our bodies usually crave movement, not retreat. My rule? Start tiny. Really tiny. A few slow reps, a short walk, a gentle hinge. Often the pain isn't a stop sign, it's more like a pay attention signal. And yeah, sometimes there is a structural issue, and that's when a solid physio becomes gold. Someone who doesn't just say rest, but helps you move smarter. What surprised me most is how many back problems come from sitting. Too long, too often. It stiffens everything. So the fix tends to be motion, not fear. So if something aches, don't freeze. Explore it. Lightly. Slowly. Let the body show you what it can still do. It's often more than you expect. You know what's funny? Everyone wants the perfect diet, the magic template. But every time I dig into research, it seems like long-living people don't follow one strict plan. They just stick to simple patterns that keep their system steady. So here's what I've learned. Don't overeat, don't undereat. Sounds almost too basic, yet those 2 traps mess with metabolism more than any wrong food. Some folks shrink their portions so much they lose muscle. Others drift into constant snacking and wonder why their energy tanks. In many cases, the goal is balance. Enough nutrients to feel strong. Enough texture and color on the plate to keep your gut happy. Nothing extreme. And yeah, your needs shift with age. What worked at 25 might feel off at 60. That's normal. The trick is staying curious about how your body responds, not chasing someone else's meal plan. Longevity isn't a diet, it's consistency. Small choices, every day. Ever notice how older people often eat less without meaning to? Smaller meals, lighter plates, and suddenly, strength just slips away. Research suggests this isn't just aging, it's something called anabolic resistance. Basically, your muscles don't respond to protein as quickly as before, so you need a bit more to spark the same effect. Here's what shocked me. Most women I talk to barely hit half of what their body actually needs. No surprise they feel weaker or slower. A common target, often suggested by fitness experts, is roughly 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or at least moving in that direction. Not obsessively, just intentionally. And yeah, this ties directly to sarcopenia, the slow loss of muscle. But it's not inevitable. With enough protein and some resistance training, your body usually fights back. Even in your 60s or 70s, vegans? It's possible too. Just takes more planning and slightly larger portions. Protein isn't about getting big. It's about staying capable, staying you. You ever try pushing through a day after a bad night? It's wild how fast everything unravels. Mood, focus, hunger, even balance. For years, I thought sleep was something I'd get around to eventually. But research suggests it's basically the core system that keeps everything else running smoothly. Here's what hit me hardest. Your brain uses deep sleep like a cleaning cycle. Metabolic waste, stress signals, leftover tension, it all gets sorted out there. Miss that window too often, and your thinking turns foggy in ways you barely notice at first. And as we age, sleep becomes lighter, more breaks, different architecture. People over 65 usually don't drop into the same deep stages as often, which means they feel tired even after enough hours. I used to brag about sleeping 4 hours. Now, I treat sleep like a tool, a sharp one. The better the sleep, the better your metabolism behaves. The body just runs cleaner. It's subtle until suddenly it's not. You ever wonder why older people get dehydrated so easily? It's strange. The body still needs water, but the thirst alarm just gets quieter with age. Research suggests that by the time many folks feel thirsty, they are already slightly dehydrated. And that tiny dip messes with energy, blood pressure, even mood. But here's the twist. Drink too late, and your night turns into a bathroom marathon. That's why I treat hydration almost like meal timing. Earlier in the day, generous. Closer to evening, lighter, more controlled. It sounds simple, but the impact on sleep is massive. What I notice a lot, people think waking up 3 times is just aging. Not always. Sometimes it's just late fluids stacking pressure on the bladder. So I keep a rhythm, front load my water, sip, don't chug at night. And honestly, my sleep stays steadier, and my mornings feel less foggy. Hydration is subtle, but it shapes way more than we realize. Ever notice how a late dinner just sits in your stomach like a brick? Your body's trying to digest while your brain's trying to shut down. Terrible combo. Research suggests that giving yourself more space between the last bite and bedtime usually helps your system calm down faster. And then there's alcohol. It feels like it helps you fall asleep, but what it really does is slice your sleep into thin, shallow fragments. You drift, but you don't rest. I used to ignore this. Now the difference is so obvious I can't unsee it. The room itself matters too. Darkness signals your brain it's safe to drop into deeper stages. Cooler air? It helps temperature regulation, which seems to support steadier sleep cycles. Tiny tweaks? Huge payoff. So yeah, earlier dinner, easy on the drinks, dark and cool bedroom. None of it is dramatic, but together they shift how your night and your next day actually feels. You ever try fixing your sleep by just going to bed earlier? It almost never works. The real anchor, the thing that sets your whole rhythm, is the wake-up time. Same hour every day, even weekends. Research suggests this steady cue helps your internal clock sync way better than any fancy routine. Here's the weird part. The sleep pressure you build during the day is what actually helps you crash at night. Nap in the afternoon, and that pressure drops. Then you're staring at the ceiling at midnight, wondering what went wrong. I've tested this on myself more times than I can admit. If I skip the nap and stick to a consistent morning alarm, my body naturally slides into deeper sleep later. No forcing, no tricks. It feels almost too simple, but it works. Keep the mornings steady. Let the pressure build, and your nights start fixing themselves. You ever notice how people treat supplements like shortcuts? Especially for sleep. Everyone wants that magic pill that knocks you out. But research suggests most of these tools work best as gentle nudges, not knockout buttons. Melatonin is the classic example. As we age, natural levels drop, so a small dose can help signal that it's time to wind down. Small is the key word here. High doses found in mini gummies can be too strong for some. Research often suggests that much smaller physiological doses tend to work better for a lot of folks, just enough to cue the body without flooding it. But melatonin mainly helps you fall asleep. It doesn't usually keep you asleep all night. That's where people get confused. Other supplements, magnesium, L-theanine, maybe ashwagandha, sometimes support relaxation, but the response is wildly individual. What calms one person does nothing for another. My rule? Keep it simple. Start low. Watch the effect. Supplements shouldn't replace habits, just support them. You ever meet someone who eats clean, trains hard, sleeps well, and still looks completely lifeless? It took me years to realize what was missing. Connection. Real, warm, human connection. Research suggests that emotional isolation can hit the body almost like chronic stress. Quietly, steadily, messing with the way we heal and age. What struck me most is how common this becomes with age. Kids grow up, friends scatter, routines shrink. People end up living in silence they never asked for. And that silence changes things. Mood drops, energy fades, even health habits fall apart because what's the point? I've seen couples where one partner passes and the other follows months later. Not from disease, from emptiness. Meaning matters. Having someone to talk to, someone who cares, someone who expects you tomorrow, that's its own kind of medicine. So I treat emotional health like training. I schedule calls, I make plans, I stay plugged in to people I love. Longevity feels different when you're not living it alone. You know what hits me every time I talk about longevity? It's never one giant ritual. It's this mix of tiny, stubborn habits, movement, food, sleep, community, that slowly reshape how you feel from the inside out. No drama, no magic, just daily choices. And honestly, the more I look at these things, the more they look like invitations. Ways to stay curious about your own body. Ways to stay connected. Ways to stay alive in more than just the technical sense. If at least one of today's topics made you rethink a habit, that's already progress. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let's keep building a life that actually feels good to live.